Beautiful evening to you. You're welcome to Sports Extraordinary on Atlantic Television Network, and of course, I'm very happy to be back here. My name is Kingsley Manuel, and on today's edition of the show, we shall take a look at some results of games played over the weekend, and not forgetting the Nigerian Premier Basketball League, where River Supers, of course, they've made it back to back to the finals of that. Stage dominance, once again. We'll take a look at that as well as the current encounter between the Super Eagles of Nigeria and Rwanda at the Gosling Akpabio International Stadium. And of course, I can tell you it's scoreless in that one, and we'll look forward to see how that one will pan out at the end of the day. All of this, of course, and many more will form the discussion right here when we come back from this short break. Stay with us, we'll be right back. Back as the Sports Extraordinary on Atlantic Television Network, and of course I told you we're very much ready this evening to do justice on the latest we have for you is Emmanuel Michael. Good evening to you, Michael, and welcome to the show.
Yeah, good evening to you, Kingsley, and good evening to our peers out there.
And we have Ekudjuro Lamasia. I think yes, is making his debut on Atlantic TV, and as well Sport Extraordinary. We're very happy to have you, Lamasia.
Good evening, Emmanuel.
Take a look at the situation of things as it concerns basketball down here in Nigeria. I tell you, really getting interesting as it stands as defending champions. River Supers, as it stands now, they've qualified to the finals of the Nigerian Premier Basketball League, as of course they were able to get past their opponents, Bogo City Chiefs, over the weekend, and of course was really an impressive outing, for the Kingsmen, making it back to back, to the finals of the Nigerian Premier Basketball League. It ended 79-73 in favor of the Kingsmen at Niger street basketball courts down here in the city of Port Harcourt. Michael, what do you make of the feat so far for Rivers Hoopers? Back-to-back, finals in the Nigerian Premier Basketball League.
It is an impressive feat for me. I think Rivers Hoopers have actually demonstrated clearly the fact that they are the best team as it has to do with the Nigerian Premier Basketball League as it is right now. Having successfully made it back-to-back final, I think for me it's a clear testament to the fact that they've actually been able to put everything in place necessary to help them excel so far. It is not surprising. From the get-go, they actually demonstrated their credentials and the capability of what they intend to do. Clear-cut, intention to also successfully defend their title. The last time I spoke to the coach of the side talking about Dowd, we clearly outlined three major, propelling factors which, made it very possible for them to get this far. First, they want to also ensure that they win the Basketball African League, Nigerian Premier Basketball League right here in their own backyard. Second is to also defend the title they won last season successfully. Third, which is the supreme, is to get the ticket for the Basketball African League. And if you take a look at their impressive display so far, right from the get-go, they did not, take their foot off the gas. They press it so hard to the extent that, they remain the only team to have, played all games without dropping or losing any game so far. I think Boko City Chiefs were among the second team that failed to, lose any game, right from the first game down to the seventh game that they played before making it to the final 8. They won their first game, lost their second game, but Rivers Hoopers have not lost any game so far. I mean, for me, like I said, it was a clear demonstration of their, potentials of what they tend to achieve. And I tell you, it looks as though the Nigerian Premier Basketball League have become a world of, their own because of the way they are taking their opponent to the cleaners, out there with large point margin. We see Rivers Hoopers scoring as much as 80-something points, 90 points, which for me I think is very impressive. You get such points in the NBAs. And their last game before this very one, they actually had about 39-point margin, which for me I think it was very, very massive. I saw a player, from the River Hoopers side also, racking up as much point as possible, which for me, like I said, it is only in the NBA that you see players, racking up such point. And they've actually improved from all fronts. Especially taking their three-pointers, those free throws. These are very, very technical, balls that you need special players of extraordinary quality, to be able to get those three-pointers. And I think for me, they've been able to, impress me. As it is right now, their last game before getting to this final was a very keenly contested encounter against a very stubborn Boko City Chiefs side that from the first quarter down to the second, that indeed they are the best team, as it has to do with the Nigerian Premier Basketball League as it is right now.
Let's say it goes, of course, for Rivers Hoopers. Very impressive performance, you will see from them. And they're into the final, of course, of the Nigerian Premier Basketball League down here. And from what it says, it has been, of course, very impressive. But Lawansi, I would like to get your thoughts. I know you've been following Rivers Hoopers, since the final 8 started down here last week in Port Harcourt. What do you make of their performance so far, and for the fact that they've not made it back-to-back finals in the Nigerian Premier Basketball League? Well,
I must say that Rivers Hoopers has made not just Rivers people, but Nigerians proud. They are the defending champions, and they didn't lose the game to the final. They have shown clarity in their games performances. They have been outstanding. And one good thing about them is that they've been able to come up with important points and trying to gather momentum. I never expected them less, considering the fact that they were the champions last season. And coming up to, defend the game is one thing I must applaud them for, So Rivers Hoopers, I think they have done marvelously well. And defeating Boko Chiefs, is another outstanding performance. The games, you see that there are some players which I think that maybe the Nigerian basketball team should actually come together and align them and put them in the team, because Rivers Supers have demonstrated clarity. They are actually in a perfect shape. So I will not be surprised if at the end of the day they become the champions of this final of 8 teams. So I think they have all it takes, all it requires to win this particular tournament. So thumb up for them. Right. They're in a very good position to win.
Okay. The first 8 points was, of course, a very impressive one. Hoops and Reeds in the final against Rivers Hoopers La Masia. I don't know what you make of that, final. Do you think it's going to be just like the way it's been easy for Rivers Hoopers? You think it's going to be a roller coaster ride for them as well come tomorrow? Actually,
it's not going to be a cakewalk. Cakewalk, I mean, it's not going to be an easy game. And at the same time, I'm not saying it's going to be a rocket science for them. Rivers Hoopers have shown demonstration. They have shown the capacity. They have made both statements that they are capable of winning this particular one. And I think if they end up winning, it won't be a surprise to me, because judging them from the onset, you see their performances, the teams they beat to get to this stage of the tournament is actually outstanding. So their performance has been on a very, very, very high note. The coach some time ago told us that they are preparing to face the stronger teams. And now the stronger teams have come up, and this is the time to actually challenge them and see their methods. But I want to believe that with what they have demonstrated, so Rivers Hoopers have the capacity, the capability, all it takes, all required to end up the champions of the particular tournament.
Let's see how it goes, of course, for Rivers Hoopers. Of course, that final comes up tomorrow at the Niger Street Basketball Court down here in Port Harcourt. Can the Kingsmen, of course, make it back-to-back this time around? That's the big question. As I said, we'll see how that one, of course, will pan out tomorrow. But away from that, let's talk tennis on the show, as Yannick Sinner became the 4th Italian to win the ATP Finals title, as he earned a commanding straight-set victory over American Telefreeze in Turin. World #1 Sinner capped a superb year in which he has also won the first 2 Grand Slam titles of his career, with a 6-4, 6-4 win over the 5th rank player, talking about Telefreeze. Impressive victory, of course. You would say his 70th victory in 2024. Michael, what do you make of the dominance of Yannick Sinner this season in tennis?
I think for Yannick Sinner, he has actually demonstrated a clear run for me. Then again, playing at home is another advantage for Yannick Sinner, who had his home support, in that very one. But away from the home support, I think the young man has been able to demonstrate clearly that indeed him sitting as a world #1 is not by fluke. He did not actually, ghost himself to the world #1. He actually had worked his fingers to the bone, to get to the height that he is right now. I think for me, I wasn't actually surprised that Yannick Sinner actually defeated Telefreeze. But I'm surprised because of the way he was able to take Telefreeze to the cleaner. Actually kept awake to actually watch that very game. I followed right from the first set down to the last set. It made it look so seamless the way he was able to dispatch Telefreeze. So for me, I think the man is on a world of his own right now. I think the only player I was expecting actually to give him a run for his money, which is Carlos Alcaraz, probably Danny Medvedev. But these 2 players are inconsistent, especially for Carlos Alcaraz. Tipped to be the new face of tennis, about 2 years ago. But then there is a blip in form rather, for Carlos Alcaraz, and that is why we've seen him fluctuate. It's either he picks up today, the next game he loses. The inconsistency in his form has not actually helped to bring that healthy rivalry or healthy competition in the ATP, and that is why it looks as though it is a one-man race where Yannick Sinner just dominated. More like a roller coaster ride for Yannick Sinner. But then, truly, if you take a look at the form of the man, Yannick Sinner missed all of the controversies surrounding around him so far this season about the doping issue. Yet, he has been able to maintain what I call a monstrous mentality to focus and remain strong in order to deliver when it matters most, which for me I think is key. He's been very, very professional to the cause. So give it to the man.
Yannick Sinner, of course, the man all for the moment, finishing the game in a very impressive fashion, as well as being the world #1 as a star. Lamansia, I know you've been following this man. What do you make of it? You know, went to that ATP
final, yeah.
You know, without losing a set, down to the finals and winning it as well.
Well, I think Sinner deserves our applause. You know, it's been a fantastic season year for him. Finishing as world #1, not just world #1, you know, winning his first, you know, major title, ATP finals, and then again being the first Italian to do it, and he did it in a grand style, you know, doing it in his home soil.
Yeah.
So it's actually a perfect moment for him. He has been outstanding this season. I never expected less from him. You know, one thing about sports is that sometimes it can be your season. So it's as if it's scripted for him in his favor, and everything worked out marvelously for him. Beating the opponent he actually eliminated in the final was actually, to an extent, Taylor Friggs, you know. So many persons predicted Taylor to, you know, come up very, very aggressive on him. But if you watch that particular game very well, you see that he outshined, he outperformed him. It was as if it was an easy stuff for him. So I think it is his season, and he deserves to be celebrated. So I think he has a wonderful and perfect season for him. I wish that come next season, he actually continue from where he stopped and prove to the fans that it's actually good with what he's doing. The truth is that I expected some players like Carlos Alcaraz, you know, be so young, and people see him as the face of modern day tennis. Okay, in football, you can liken him to Lamine Yamal of Barcelona. You know, so when you see these players coming up, you are wishing them very well. But when they are no longer consistent in the game, it has a way of, you know, giving you some worry. So I actually expected Carlos Alcaraz to, you know, pick up, shine very well, because the world are just, you know, expecting much from him. But actually, he has been fluctuating up and cold at the same time. So, but at the same time, I think it's a wonderful season for Yannick Sinner. He deserves to be celebrated.
Talking about dominance and, of course, continue this impressive performance we saw this year for Yannick Sinner. Do you see him, of course, staging that dominance in loan? Do you see any competition come next year? Because the guys at which we expect, of course, to probably pose that competition to him, the likes of Alcaraz, seem not to be that man we used to know, especially of recent.
Yeah.
Talk about, you know, Zverev, who just came up to quote #2, everyone thinking, oh, he's going to maybe do something big, but couldn't get down to the finals. We talk about Medvedev as well. For Novak Djokovic, I think the man has gotten what he wants, and at this point in time, he select games, you know, to play. It doesn't really play regularly that much, and if you talk about the world #1, it's not something that is even, you know, stirs him up.
Exactly.
Do you see Yannick Sinner, you know, staging that dominance for a very long time, or you see a very strong competition?
Yeah, I think the competition will be very, very strict. They want it to be very, very competitive. I don't see him, you know, enjoying the dominance for a very long time. If you check their standing, the world ranking now, I know it's enjoying his #1 position. But if you look at Zverev too from Germany, you look at Alcaraz from Spain, you also talked about Taylor Fritz from the US, and talk about Dan Medvedev. I think Medvedev is another player who can actually upset any player anytime, any day. So come next season, I don't think Yannick Sinner will actually enjoy the stage for a very long time. He can be eliminated, he can be bring down. In fact, his standing can also be reduced at any moment of time. I won't be surprised if he reduce his position, maybe from the first position to the 5th position next time. Because next year, there are players who actually are standing. You know, one thing about tennis.
Which of these players?
I've mentioned Carlos Alcaraz. I've also mentioned.
He's not in a very good form.
Yeah, it's not. That is why we are talking about bouncing back. Yes, definitely he will bounce back. He's a young player. You know, since he's young, the energy is there. It's no longer like Novak, you know, who is currently ranked 7 in the world. It's no longer like Andrew Rublev. So he's a very young player. The world is even looking at him to, you know, take the center stage of this game. So I don't see Yannick, you know, enjoying for a very long time. That's why I said earlier that this is his season, and I'm happy that he enjoyed the season. So come next season, it's going to be a difficult one for him, because there are other good players who definitely will come up and challenge him on a very positive note.
All right, let's say it goes, of course, for Yannick Sinner, a first Italian player, of course, to win the ATP final. Very impressive for the man. Let's just keep our fingers crossed and see how next season, of course, will pan out for the man. But let's stay away from tennis as we take a look at the Nigerian Premier Football League, who saw some impressive results in match day 11. And I tell you, it was really something very interesting. 20 goals, of course, were scored with 5 home wins and 4 draws. There was no away win in the Nigerian Premier Football League match day 11. Michael, what do you make of the statistics from the MPFL match day 11?
I did not actually make anything of that statistics. 20 goals scored, no even a single away win. Just a normal conventional statistics in the Nigerian Premier Football League, you know, over the weekend. Exception of some teams, maybe Enugu Rangers, that did pretty well to get all 3 points in order to close in the gap against some of the big boys, the likes of Rivers United, the likes of Remo Stars, who also played draws against Rivers United, Enyimba. And away from that, there was nothing really special about you know, the weekend fixtures in the Nigerian Premier Football League. Just the normal conventional you know, statistics of win-win at home, then possibly you know, a single win.
I'm not receiving criticisms on a positive note, and they are trying to be awakened. You know, for some time now, judging from the caliber of the coach they have, most Nigerians, most football lovers, actually expected them to be at the top level. You know, pushing together with Rivers United, and that they did not do at the beginning of the game, and they were actually at the relegation zone to a particular level. So people actually criticized them, including me myself. So, but recently, their form is something that can be, you know, encouraged. You know, they are bounced back, and I expect them to continue in the field. You know, playing a 2-2 away draw with Kwara United. In fact, it was Super Eagles former captain Ahmed Musa who actually, you know, proved to us that he's actually a good player by giving the home team that point that actually get them together. So I think with what Heartland have done recently, I expect them to improve, continue from where they stop. Let them. I don't want to hear that tomorrow they are now losing games again. So the beauty of this game is continuous winning. If they continue in this fit, you know, winning home matches, when you go away matches, at least you strive for a point. Getting a point is not, I know it's very difficult, but it can be encouraging. You can't be a champion by losing all your away matches and playing draws at home. So Heartland of February, I'm impressed with their last 2 matches, and I want to wish them well. Let them continue on this fit. We are enjoying them now.
Rangers as well played 3 goals to 2 against Bender Insurance, and I think that particular 3 point took them, I think, either 4th or 5th position, you know, as a stand. Close. I think they're gradually closing the gap between the league leaders, you know, as a stand. Don't forget they won the title last time. Yeah. And they're also trying to come back as well. What do you make of Rangers? You think they can close the gap and as well fight to retain the title they won last time? Of
course, they can actually close the gap. Rangers United of Enugu is a very, very strong side, a very popular league in Nigeria, and you know they have been champions of this league, and because of that, they have the pedigree to actually challenge to the top level, and that they have done. So I would not be surprised if they actually come up to, you know, bridge the gap. Winning home, I think they won by 3 goals to 2 at home. So that's a good one. And if they continue with that fit, I think they can challenge the league leader. I think Remo Stars, right? So one thing I am very, very impressed about Rangers is the management. You know, they are actually interested in building the team to winning games. The management of Rangers United must be applauded for what they have achieved. They have been very, very consistent. It's been long we see Rangers, you know, relaxing at the relegation zone. They're always competitive. Okay, another team I can actually balance in their level is Rivers United and the Enyimba of Aba. Okay, so if Rangers continue in this fit, I think anything is possible. They can actually retain the league they won last time. So it's very, very possible. All
right, let's see how it goes. It was 3 goals to 2 between Enugu Rangers and Bender Insurance. Central Stars, they beat Lobby Stars by 1 goal to the Abe Warriors, of course, played 1 draw against Enyimba Football Club. Remo Stars played goalless against Rivers United, and Bayelsa United played 1 draw against Gasina United. Ikorodu City, one team, of course, that have also stepped up their game, the beat Shooting Stars by 2 goals to 1. Economy Warriors beats
Niger Tornadoes.
Beg your pardon. Economy Warriors says it beats Niger Tornadoes, yes, 1 goal to 0 in that particular encounter. Impressive. Michael, what do you make of performance of Ikorodu City? They've been very, very impressive, you know, since they took their first, 3 points. They've really stepped up the game. They beat Shooting Stars over the weekend, 2 goals to 1.
I think for me, it looks as though Ikorodu City have actually discovered the winning formula in the Nigerian Premier Football League. They started the season on a very poor note, and losing their first game, second game, and in fact, up till match day 5, they struggled to win games. But immediately they got their first point at home. Ever since then, they've actually, been able to pick up the fire, and that is why it look as though they've actually discovered the magic on how to win, games in the Nigerian Premier Football League. Having gotten that promotion last season, of course, it is not surprising the way they actually struggled from the starting of the season. They were actually trying to get acquainted with what it is, on what it means to win games in the top flight league out there. And ever since they got that victory, they've actually been boosted by that confidence going forward. And I think for me, like I said, they've actually discovered the winning formula in the Nigerian Premier Football League, and they are not backing down. That is why you see them these days, both away from home, at home. They try to do everything possible to get all 3 points. And I tell you, they continue in this fashion, just maybe they are going to stay afloat in the Nigerian Premier Football League.
Okay. All right. At this point, we'll take a break, and we'll come back from the break and move straight to the Gospel Akpabio International Stadium in Uyo, where the Super Eagles are currently in action against Rwanda. Stay with us, we'll be right back. Welcome back. Still Sports Extraordinary on Atlantic Television Network, and of course we're bringing the latest revolving around the beautiful world of sport at the moment. I tell you, it's really getting interesting at the Gospel Akpabio International Stadium in Uyo. The game between the Super Eagles of Nigeria is putting up a lot as it stands, but I can tell you that Rwanda are currently leading in that encounter, 2 goals to 1. Lamasia, I don't know what you make of it. Just like you mentioned when we were on the break, you said Arsenal Gabon promised the fans that they were going to take the game so serious. But it looks as if they're not serious on the pitch of play. They're currently losing 2 goals to 1 as it stands.
Well, I think the game, I never expected so much from the Super Eagles of Nigeria.
In this encounter?
In this encounter, considering the fact that we've already qualified, 2 games remaining. Eguavon come up and told us that he's going to take the match seriously in order to motivate us, so that it will actually increase the momentum of the players in camp. And I was expecting him to actually function in that direction, because if the Super Eagles of Nigeria actually win this one, it will be a kind of morale booster for the team in general. So we are playing against Rwanda. Nigeria is ranked about 26 in the world, and Rwanda,
I think 30-something
in 36 in the world.
Yes.
While Rwanda is ranked 126 in the world. So you expected that the game, I expected that the game will actually be in our favor. Though not going to be an easy peasy game for Nigerians, but not to lose in our own home side. I just watched the game. Samuel Chukwueze scored first.
Yes.
So I was expecting that more goals would have come after that one. But I don't know, they relented, and an equalizer was actually given, and a lead against the Super Eagles of Nigeria. Actually, they have qualified. There's nothing serious about this one. Nothing at stake, actually. But Nigerians want to see the best of Super Eagles anytime, any day they play. You know, we have this culture of always expecting a winning whenever we are playing. We want to see the Super Eagles of Nigeria win their matches anytime, any day. Not just winning, but also playing good football.
Sure.
And another point I am looking at it is that we now have a new goalkeeper, Madiko Okoye, right?
He's been there?
Yeah, Madiko, yes, today now, because for some time now, Stanley Nwabali has been, you know, in the #1 spot now. So Okoye coming back today to lose, I don't know how the fans will react to it. You know, I don't want to create that negative picture of him, but I know he's a good goalkeeper. But I actually wished that in today's encounter, he had a beautiful game, come up with a 3-point, maximum point, you know. Then that will also increase his morale and also confidence in the game, because it's been very, very competitive between him and Stanley Nwabali, who has gained the favor of the Nigerians, okay? So Okoye winning today's match would have been a very good one for him. Yeah. But notwithstanding, I think it's not late. The Super Eagles of Nigeria can equalize. They can also equalize. They can equalize. Remember the last time, how many minutes it was? A few minutes before the final whistle, when Victor Osimhen equalized. So something similar can also happen today. But notwithstanding, I want to believe that the Super Eagles of Nigeria has the quality to play a draw today, get a point, or at most win the match. It's still possible. Yeah.
All right, that's one of the things, of course, just like you mentioned, it's a game of no consequences for the Eagles.
Exactly.
But for Rwanda, it means a lot for them.
Yeah.
Because they need all 3 points in this encounter to
maximum.
have a very good chance of qualifying as well. But Michael, what do you make of it? Nigerians are not too happy with the performance of the Eagles. Will you say it's as a result of the starting lineup which we saw earlier, where we saw the likes of Gabriel Osho, we saw the likes of Kelechi Iheanacho starting, Dele Bashiru, Hassan Yusuf. You know, these are players that do not really start games for the Super Eagles of Nigeria. And for me, I think it was an opportunity for them to be able to stand their ground, this particular one. But what do you make of it? Do you think is as a result of the set of players we have? That's why at this point we're truly Rwanda 2-1 as it stands.
For me, I do not want to think in that line of thought. After all, when we had our full squad, we played against a team like Benin Republic, yet what happened? They defeated us in the AFCON World Cup qualifying game, 2-1. This same Rwanda had already beaten the Nigerian Super Eagles, even with our best squad. So I do not want to rope.
Better than the Super Eagles?
I do not want to rope the, them trailing by 2-1 to the fact that maybe the coach did not start with his normal squad out there. Every player that is invited into the Super Eagles camp has all the quality. If they were not good enough, he wouldn't have received an invitation. So it was even an opportunity for some of the new boys that are back into the national team, like Gabriel Osho, the likes of Maduka Okoye, coming back after a very long while, to make their claim, to stake their claim rather. The likes of Kelechi Iheanacho, not very consistent this day. After leaving Leicester City to Sevilla, he has been warming the bench out there, and he called to questioning why the coach had to give him a starting belt. But Samuel Chukwueze, who started from the bench, also came to make the difference, scored a goal. So I do not want to really to that line of thought that maybe it's the starting 11 that actually caused this very one. It can actually happen to any team out there. We saw Ghana playing with their full strength, yet they were beaten by, surprisingly countries that you don't even think that they can beat Ghana. So even Brazil, with their full squad, at some point they get to lose game. Argentina played their full squad a few days ago. They lost their game. Belgium last night, over the weekend, were beaten by Israel. Belgium, of all people, were beaten by Israel, even though they paraded much of their stars out there. So these things do happen. It is football and it is what it is. But then I still strongly believe that maybe, just maybe at the nick of time, the Super Eagles might also, equalize and possibly win the game. But if they don't get to win this very well, it's going to be a very bad one for the confidence of Maduka Okoye, because I saw some defensive lapses that actually led to the second goals out there. But then most Nigerians wouldn't want to, think in that direction. Their thought would be, oh, if Stanley Nwabali was there, this one wouldn't have been a goal and all of that. But I think for me, the man did his best. It's just that his best wasn't good enough. Sometimes football is a teamwork. We can't actually single one man to, crucify for mistakes and all of that. But like I said earlier, if we get to lose this game, it's not a good one for us. Though it is a dead rubber game, nothing to play for, just for jamboree. But then we needed to win this game to consolidate our rankings, as well in the world and also in Africa. We can't have Rwanda coming to defeat us in our own backyard. It doesn't speak good, for the Super Eagles.
Lamonsia, of course, it really calls for worry because if you take a look at it, in the last game against Benin Republic, Nigerians were not that satisfied with the performance of the Super Eagles. And now they are back at the Gospel International Stadium and they're losing to Rwanda. And, it talked about the job of Osne Guavon. Nigerians were like, let him take over the job and then lead the team in the World Cup qualifiers. But with what we're seeing now in the last two games, is that Guavon really, really qualified to handle the team?
Well, talking about Guavon being qualified or not to handle the team, on a personal note, I will always say that Guavon should always be there as an interim coach. Whenever we have lapses, lacuna in the team, we'll call upon him to, take over until the needful is done. So we have to actually go for a good coach, a coach that can bring quality football to the Super Eagles of Nigeria, a coach that can command respect, a coach that can actually motivate the players more. Guavon is a good coach, no doubt, but I think I prefer him in his current position. He shouldn't be the one to lead the Super Eagles to World Cup if you actually qualify. But today's game, losing our own back at Gospel Stadium, I think it's not a good one, considering the fact that last match we didn't do very well. In fact, the equalizing goal came very, very late when we least expected it, and because of Oshimen's bravery, and his quality, was able to give us that one. I'm seeing us now losing against Rwanda in the backyard. Like I keep saying, Nigeria is ranked 36 in the world.
Yeah. And
we are playing against Rwanda that is ranked 126 in the world. The difference should be much. Nigeria, we have more and quality players more than Rwanda. If we judge us by the quality of players, we shouldn't be compared at any level. Now, that boils down to...
Is ranking really a criteria to measure the strength of a team?
To understand, it's a criteria, and that is why the bookmakers, they give odds about the games.
But we saw is certain Saudi Arabia beating Argentina at the World Cup. If you take a look at the ranking, they are nowhere close.
It can actually happen. That is why you can't predict football to an extent. But in every football match, there must be a favorite. That favorite comes based on your ranking and the quality of players you possess, you portray. Okay? So when you bring Nigeria and Rwanda, on a basket, weighing them, okay, you see that Nigeria, the Super Eagles of Nigeria, are actually more weightier than Rwanda. So you don't expect less. And not that they are even playing a draw in our home, they are winning us here. Yeah, people might say, we have qualified with 2 games remaining already. There is nothing to worry about. By the way, some of our key players have returned back to their various clubs. And the starters today may not be our regular starters. And because of that, we might lose. No. Any player invited in the Super Eagles camp should have that quality of starting a game and winning matches for Nigeria. We are not inviting... players. We're not inviting players who have nothing to offer. We invited quality players. It took the Super Eagles coaching crew time to invite them from their respective club, believing that when they come here, they'll give us the required results. So it doesn't matter if you're a starter, it doesn't matter if you're not. Whenever you're called upon to deliver with that Super Eagles jersey, you should give us the utmost best, and that's what we expected. So Nigeria losing at home to, in fact, it is not good enough.
Okay, should we be scared? Should we be scared with Osnegwavon being at the end of affairs, at this point in time? Because you take a look at what happened. I think CAF have to award 3 points, 3 goals for the Super Eagles, and that, of course, helped the Super Eagles to sit in a very comfortable position in that group. If not because of that, you take a look at the last 2 games now, they drew 1 point, and this would have been probably, they're currently losing at the stands now. So with these lapses we've seen at this point, should Nigerians be scared? Should we have anything to worry about with Osnegwavon being the man at the end of affairs, probably ahead of the World Cup qualifiers?
For me, I think Osnegwavon, if you take a look at his statistics, since becoming a coach of the Super Eagles, prior to the match against Benin Republic, he had played a total of 25 games, winning 16, drawing 5, and lost 4. Is that a bad statistics if you want to evaluate it going by statistics? Not a bad one. So I do not think that we'll have anything to worry. And it could be very difficult or very, big mistake if at this point we let go of Osnegwavon just to go and bring in a foreign coach to come and take over from him while the World Cup qualifying match is by the corner. It will take time for such a coach to be able to understand, that chemistry between those players. It will take time as well for the players as well to understand the philosophy of the new coach that is coming. Osnegwavon is a coach that the players are at home with. They've said it, even the captain of the side talking about Trusekon have made it very clear. They are all at home with a coach, and he's also trying to implement a certain philosophy which Nigerians have been craving for. Holding on to the possession, knocking the ball around,